Alright guys, Papa Pepper here, out in the garden, just doing some thinking, and I know that some of you guys are going to realize I don't really think a lot sometimes, like a lot of the world does, and to me that just shows it's probably good not to be programmed. It's probably good not to do everything that, people kind of train you to do, because, much like a computer, our minds can be programmed. And we accept certain input a certain way, and we're kind of trained that when we respond to a certain scenario, we automatically filter it into a certain area, and we think about it in that way. It's just after sunset now, just checking on the snake gourds, doing a harvest for the evening, make up some stir fries and stuff. But the thing I want to talk to you guys about was that we know a lot of things in life just do better when they're grown in a nice, organic, rich, environment. And sometimes the less chemicals something gets exposed to, the better it is, the healthier it is. Yet we live in the society that people aren't really treated that way. People don't really grow in an organic environment. People aren't really out in the woods, out in the fields, out in the wild so much. People exist a lot of times in the concrete jungle, at least the vast majority of them. And the things that they drink and that they eat are often just chemical concoctions. They're not fresh, they're not raw, they're not organic, they're not from the earth. They're not natural. And I think even, look at a lot of the drinks people drink, they're just completely chemicals, completely manipulated, completely, made in a laboratory, not from the wild, not organic. And then a lot of like the food too, it's created in some really interesting ways. I used to work in a number of food places, and I can vouch for kind of the ways that some stuff is made. Is just, it takes a lot of manipulation to produce it, to make it where we're finally ready to call it a food. And I wonder, even when you take things like, how many food colorings and dyes and weird things just to manipulate and change the color are put into foods these days. And they're not natural, they're not organic, they're chemical, they're toxic waste sometimes, they're completely different. So transition that, plants grow really good out in a natural environment. A lot of things do. When they have real organic richness of the soil, of the environment, of the things they're exposed to, even when you go to the sun. A lot of people these days get a lot of fake light, a lot of man-made generated light that is not natural. So the reason I kind of preclude my entire kind of thoughts with those is just to kind of set up a scenario. And what I'm thinking, what I'm wondering, is if we back up to the beginning, what do we got? We've got the Creator God, and God creates man. And He creates at that time, before they disobeyed and before the world became fallen and cursed, He creates a perfect environment for them to be in. A man and his wife. Where did He put that man and his wife? Well, He put them in a garden. So I want you to think about that. He put them in a garden originally. A nice, natural, raw, organic environment. So to me, we can talk about a lot of great things to grow in your garden. But what about a person? Is a person a good thing to grow in a garden? And I think that you may have heard of certain, like, what they call inner city ministries or things like that, where a guy will sit there and start up a garden, and he'll teach, whether it's young men, young people, whoever, he'll teach them how to grow. And what they find is that by the end of the project, the experiment, whatever you want to call it, they've grown some really good people. I think there's a recipe I encountered from my grandma. I know it didn't originate with her, but that's where I first heard it, where she kind of, it was a recipe for a happy family or a good day or other things, but it says you pretty much, take a couple people and stick them out in a field, and you add a couple dogs and some sunshine and some flowers, and by the time you're done, you've got a really happy day, a really blessed people. So to me, I've lived some interesting lifestyles. I've done some interesting things. I've made some interesting choices in this life. And right now, the choice is just to be out here. To be out here where being in the garden, having my kids in the garden, having my family in the garden, have them out in a natural environment. I mean, trust me, if you look around me, is this a natural environment? Well, I'll tell you what, it was just a raw woods before. There was trees growing here that are no longer here. There was poison ivy growing here that was no longer here, and blackberry bushes and greenbrier. So it's been tweaked. It's been manipulated. There's been a stewardship that I've taken over it. But the things that we're dealing with are still created things that were not created by man. They're still just the raw plants and animals and things like that. So as I contemplate all that, like I said, it may be that this is going to be a good place for me to continue to grow myself as a person, and also to grow my family. In a garden, on some land, out of the city, out where things are a little less chemical, a little less manipulated, a little more raw, a little more organic. So I don't know what you guys, obviously people vary on what they believe about the origin of man and things like that, but to me, a great thing to grow in a garden, according to God, in my opinion, is going to be a family, is going to be a man. So, feel free to comment, give your own thoughts. That's mine, and I got some stuff to take care of right now, so. Alright, Papa out. As always, I'm Papa Pepper, and I'd like to remind you, don't post for free. If you'd like to be part of a revolution in social media, an economic power to the people where users can actually blog for cryptocurrency, then I'd recommend that you check out Steemit.com and join the revolution. Papa out.